is somebody trying to develop a sexually transmitted disease that will increase female libido, increase sex drive in women, and sell it to drug companies. I was perusing through the Epstein files and came across a very interesting document. There is nothing that tells you what this is in relation to. There's no names associated with it. But let's go through it together because it's very disturbing. So in this file, which is EFTA01181751, it looks like somebody is trying to devise a sexually transmitted disease that will increase female sexual drive. Let's read through this together. Overall objectives. 1. Identify and obtain specimens from sexually transmitted infections expected to alter host sexual behavior. 2. Determine which of the procured STIs have the potential to increase female sexual drive. 3. Capture intellectual property around such STIs and compounds derived directly or indirectly from them. 4. Sell to or collaborate with a pharmaceutical or biotech concern capable of mass commercialization of resulting methods, intellectual property, and/or compounds. So they basically want to create a sexually transmitted infection that will increase sex drive in women and sell it to drug companies to mass produce. All right, well, case for business or case for support. Business, a female Viagra will have substantial quality of life impact on consumers. Dude, do you think we want to keep having sex with you guys? We don't. And create huge financial value to the companies that develop and market it. 2. Science. The finding that microbes alter host sexual behavior would add on an important new twist to the basic science of evolution of parasite manipulation of host behavior. Okay. All right. Rationale. The transmission of sexually transmitted infections depends on the sexual behavior of their hosts. Other non-sexually transmissible microorganisms include toxoplasma, rabies, and a range of others, have evolved the ability to alter host behavior in ways that facilitate transmission. While male mammals are generally expected to maximize opportunities for sexual activity because of their relatively low reproductive costs, females are expected to be selective in their choice of mates. Like I was saying, females are expected to be selective in their choice of mates because of the high cost of pregnancy and lactation. An STI that decreased female sexual selectivity or otherwise increased female sexual proclivity would be expected to gain a substantive selective advantage over STIs without such capacities. It is likely that STIs in nature have evolved these abilities. Discovering such microbes and interrogating their mechanisms and the nature of their actions represent unexplored areas of science. The expectation of their existence provides a justifiable path to the identification of agents and/or compounds that have the potential to boost the sexual drive of females. Risks and limitations. The study is inherently risky. Really? While it is highly likely that STIs that alter the female sexual behavior exist in the wider mammalian order, whether or not they currently infect humans remains unclear. Challenges exist in successfully culturing newly identified STIs and adapting microbes to standardized lab models for testing. Finally, any new STIs will be relatively easy to test for efficacy in animals, but costly and otherwise challenging to test in humans, and it is possible that success in animal models will not translate into human efficacy. Risks can be mitigated by simultaneously conducting animal and human studies increasing the probability of identifying at least a single mammalian agent that modifies female sexual behavior. I don't know, maybe try a little romance. Risks can be mitigated by the consideration of exits at early milestones. For example, after identifying a particular microorganism that alters female sexual behavior in an animal model. Human testing and drug development in this scenario can be passed to an acquiring entity or developing partner, such as one of the many large biotech or pharmaceutical companies that desire to increase their pipelines. That's how us ladies like to be referred to, and that's what's really going to increase our sexual drive, is being referred to as fucking pipelines. Got it. Technical approach. The most rapid route towards success will likely include simultaneous studies in human and animal populations. A human STI altering human sexual behavior would be the most obvious and direct hit, yet ironically it will be difficult to identify such effects since, sorry, I get bothered when I see that spelled wrong, such effects, since studies in humans would need to be indirect, for example, inaccurate questionnaire approaches rather than experimental infection studies. And because some human agents might be difficult to adapt to human experimental lab animal system. Of the animal models, rodents appear to make the most sense. They exist in tremendous diversity in nature, which means that their underlying STI diversity will also be large. Sampling and laboratory studies of rodents are widely accepted, with limited ethical and regulatory concerns, and rodent models are considered reasonable models for human physiology. We also know enough about rodent populations and nature that we can use ecological approaches to target those species most likely to have substantial biological conflict between female host behavior and STI transmission. For example, lek-forming species where small numbers of males get most copulations are not ideal. Similarly, monogamous species are not ideal. So they're basically just trying to turn women to be non-monogamous. Got it. Given the diversity of rodents, many tens of species will have an appropriate promiscuity profile for the search. Okay. Research elements. Procure known STIs. A. Human. Obtain previously cultured collections of known human STIs and do the same thing for rodents. Number 2, procure unknown STIs. Human. Subject existing vaginal lavage and semen specimens to deep sequencing in an attempt to identify unknown human STIs. And essentially same thing with rodents. Number 3, determine impact of agents on behaviors. Culture candidate STI to obtain from studies above. Study candidate STIs using controlled behavior studies with laboratory rodents. Rodent populations determine impact of sexually transmitted agents on rodent sexual behavior. And number 4, determine mechanism of action for STIs that influence sexual behavior. That's the end of this document. So what do you think? Is somebody trying to develop a sexually transmitted disease that will increase female libido? Who is doing this? Where is this document from? Why is this research happening? Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you seen anything else like this in the files? It's very disturbing.